guys, it's Vicky, and I'm back with part 2, or episode 2, whatever we want to call it, of a vlog series that I started in 2021, and I definitely want to continue throughout 2022, and it is my project, I guess, to kind of scratch off books from the 100 Epic Reads poster that I have. If you guys remember, it's a poster where if you've read the book, you scratch it off. And I have about, I want to say almost half of them read. And so it's kind of just a project I want to do where I try to scratch more off. And a lot of them are classics, which I think is great because it's going to motivate me to read some classics. And a lot of them I have never heard of or don't know anything about, so I think that's also great to kind of expose me to some things that I didn't know about before. And basically the way I do it is I wrote down all of the unread titles that I haven't read from the poster and put them in this little cup. And basically I'm gonna pick one and read it and vlog about it, and then hopefully at the end I can scratch that book off and get one more done on the poster. So somebody in the first time I did this vlog, I read Catch-22 by Joseph Heller, which is a classic, and it wasn't too bad. It was pretty painless. And somebody had the suggestion to pick like 2 or 3 out of the jar and then pick one from there so that I kind of have a little bit of options, a little bit of leeway. And I kind of like that idea. So I think I'm going to do that this time. I think I'm going to pick 2 and see what happens. I'm a little scared because there are a few on this list that are intimidating to me, either because they're super long or because they are just known for being very dense, or I'm afraid I'm not going to like them or whatever. So I'm a little nervous, but also excited. So I'm going to shake up the cup, and we are going to decide my read. I'm going to try to pick 2 different colors just because. So let's see, I've got a green one and a yellow one. And let's see. Like I said, guys, some of these I have no idea what they are. So, okay. So first option for this vlog is The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. And this was one that when I put it in the jar, I was a little bit on the fence about because I have only read 2 books by Ernest Hemingway. I read in high school, I read A Farewell to Arms, and I hated it. I did not like the way that he wrote female characters in that book. But then I read The Old Man and the Sea, and I enjoyed that one. And I think maybe that was because I don't think there are any female characters really in that story. But I do understand people's love for his writing. It is very punchy, straightforward, and all of that. And if I can just kind of not think about Ernest Hemingway the man, then maybe. So this is a maybe thing. And honestly, even though this is like a famous book, I don't really know what it's about. So let's look. Let's pull it up on the Goodreads and find out what The Sun Also Rises is about. So according to Goodreads, it has a 3.81 rating. Okay. And let's see. It says, a poignant look at the disillusionment and angst of the post-World War I generation, the novel introduces 2 of Hemingway's most unforgettable characters, Jack Barnes and Lady Brett Ashley. Okay, so right there's a woman. I don't know. The story follows the flamboyant Brett and the hapless Jake as they journey from the wild nightlife of 1920s Paris to the brutal bullfighting rings of Spain with a motley group of expatriates. It is an age of moral bankruptcy, spiritual disillusion, unrealized love, and vanishing illusions. First published in 1926, The Sun Also Rises helped to establish Hemingway as one of the greatest writers of the 20th century. Okay, so the synopsis, I don't hate it. 1920s, post-World War I. I think I could get behind that, but let's see what the other choice is, and then I'll kind of go from there. And this one also, I don't think is super long. I don't remember many of Hemingway's books being super long. This version, this paperback version they have here, is 189 pages, so that is definitely a good length for me. Okay, but let's see what the second choice is, and then I can kind of go from there. So the second choice is, oh, it's like stuck together, is, oh, The Brothers Karamazov, which I'm probably saying wrong, by Fyodor Dostoevsky. And this is another one that I wasn't even sure about also. This is interesting because I read Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky and I did not like it at all. In fact, I thought it was like, oh, Morgan. Excuse her. She's guard dogging right now, just barking at leaves that are blowing by. She's such a good guard dog. So I read Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky and I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was really dry and boring, even though it had a very promising premise in the themes and stuff. Overall enjoyment was not there. So let's look it up though, because I don't know the plot for this one either. So let's see what it is about. It has a 4.32 rating, which is pretty good, but it's 796 pages. I don't know about that, guys. Okay. The Brothers Karamazov, I don't know if I'm saying that right, is a murder mystery, a courtroom drama, and an exploration of erotic rivalry in a series of triangular love affairs involving the wicked and sentimental Fyodor Pavlovich Karamazov and his 3 sons, the impulsive and sensual Dmitri, the coldly rational Ivan, and the healthy, red-cheeked young novice, Alyosha. Through the gripping events of their story, Dostoevsky portrays the whole of Russian life, its social and spiritual striving in what was both the golden age and a tragic turning point in Russian culture. This award-winning translation by Richard, okay, so they're just talking about the translation for this particular edition, remains true to the verbal inventiveness of the prose, preserving the multiple voices, the humor, the surprising modernity of the original. It is an achievement worthy of Dostoevsky's last and greatest novel. Okay, so this is like one of those situations where I do think that the translation matters, just like when you read Anna Karenina, the translation matters. So I would have to definitely pay attention to that if I decided to go with this book. I'm a little scared because it is so long. It is so long, you guys. And I didn't enjoy him the first time around. But I kind of feel the same way about Hemingway. So it's like, which one do I think I'll have a better time with? Right now, in this moment, I think I'm gonna go with Hemingway. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna do this one. It's gonna go back in the jar. But I don't wanna start my 2022 off with an 800-page classic that I'm not even sure I'm gonna like. So I think I'm gonna try to find The Sun Also Rises, which should be easy to find. I mean, libraries and such will have that, but Brothers Karamazov is going back in the jar. Maybe for another time. And I'm gonna go ahead with another American classic, like I did the first time. I'm gonna see if maybe my library has it, or Scribd. Maybe I could try the audio version. Maybe the audio version would be okay. And most classics are pretty easy to also find on audio. Yeah, Scribd has it for sure, and it's a 8-hour audiobook, which isn't horrible. So maybe I'll go that route. I don't know. Maybe I will also try to get a physical copy from the library just to kind of have it to follow along or whatever, or try it. Maybe I could try it physically to start. Like I said, Hemingway's writing is easy to take in. It's just, for me, sometimes it's the characters, it's the subject matter. So yeah, we'll see. So that's it, guys. I have made my choice for round 2. And it's gonna be Hemingway. This should be interesting because, like I said, I don't have the best relationship with him and his work. So we're gonna give it a go. All right, once I get my hands on the book, I will check back in with you guys. Well, I think I've lost my reading chair. Hey, did you take my chair? Hi, can you share the chair? Can you share? Can we share? Okay. Hey, so I got a copy of The Sun Also Rises, and I got it from the library, and I have to say I'm a little disappointed in this particular edition because it doesn't have any of the like introduction or like the extra content that you sometimes get with classics, which I appreciate having because it does give me some extra info going into the story that I think is needed. Though I know sometimes it can be spoilery to do that. I just like to have that context, and this edition doesn't have that. And it's not that Hemingway is particularly hard to understand, but I still just like to have it. And so I had to get online and do a little bit of reading to get some info going into this book, and it has helped me a little bit in understanding like what's going on. Not that it's hard to understand again, but it just gives you a little more. So this one deals with a group of people, Americans that are living in Paris right after World War I. And so they are all sort of dealing with the effects of the war and what it did to them. And our main character, Jake, is a journalist, and he is a veteran, and he was actually injured in the war. So far in the book, it hasn't explicitly said what it is, but it's something that is affecting his relationship with a woman, and also just his feelings about himself in terms of his masculinity. And so the whole book so far, these characters are just they're like kind of like ghosts. Like they're just kind of going through the motions. Like they get together, they go to bars, they drink, but they're not like really connecting with each other. And it's almost like they just, in this post-war sort of world, they don't know how to relate to each other or to themselves in some cases. And so it's interesting. And you can sort of see that Hemingway's also kind of talking about, like I mentioned, the sort of demasculation, is that the word, of men who have gone to war, because we all kind of have this image of soldiers being very tough and brave, and a lot of times when they're in those situations, in a war-like situation, that's not how it is. It's very scary, and they're, you know, they come out of it not feeling super brave and macho. And so he's touching on that a little bit with some of the characters. And then the two women that we've met, and I've been kind of approaching them with a more critical eye, because when I read Hemingway before, that was my biggest complaint with him, was I did not like the way that he wrote his female characters. And so I'm being a little more critical, and I think in this story, the two women we've met so far are, well, three of them actually. We've met three female characters, and they are definitely more like tough, outspoken. One of them is, well, there's two of them actually, that are very open with their sexuality and that sort of thing. And so they're not these like timid, quiet little women. And I don't know if Hemingway is trying to say that's a bad thing, because I get the vibe that like one in particular, you're not really supposed to like her. And I don't know if it's because she is so like outspoken and everything, and kind of controls her man, or what. So it'll be interesting to see like how things progress with that, but I don't hate it so far. I definitely don't hate it, and so that's good, because I was a little concerned that I was not gonna like this because I didn't like some of his stuff in the past. And I mean, his writing, like I've mentioned, it's very, very simple, to the point that some people hate it because it is so simple, but I don't mind it. I like a straightforward prose, very short sentences. This book so far, there's a lot of dialogue. Like this whole, like most of this page, I don't know if you can see it, is dialogue, and it's, even the dialogue is very short and clipped. And so, but there's a lot, even though the sentences are short, they do sometimes have a lot more to say than what you think. So it's interesting to just sort of analyze. I'm 58 pages into this, and it's a 250 page book. So it's pretty short, but not a lot has happened plot-wise. Like I said, it's just very like the main characters are just sort of like going about their day. Like it's just, you know, and the way he writes it too, it's just like Jake went to the office. He read the newspaper. He went to lunch and had a drink. Then he saw so-and-so after work and they went to the bar. Like it's just very like meh, meh, meh. So we'll see how it goes. I think maybe when I'm at like the halfway point, I'll do another check-in and let you guys know how it's going. But so far, it's not too shabby. Okay, so I am halfway through The Sun Also Rises, and I have to say, I'm really bored. This is definitely like Hemingway's, especially the beginning, this is like Hemingway's version of like same shit, different day, because I feel like that's all the characters are doing every day, is they get up and they go to different bars or restaurants and they eat and drink, and that's like all they do. And so it's just kind of, and then but then like, but they're not, you're not getting a big sense of them, because there's this like wall up, especially from our narrator. You just don't get into his head at all, and so you're just like following them along, but there's nothing interesting really happening. And then the part I just finished reading, the main character and one of his buddies, they're fishing. And I know Hemingway was really into like outdoorsy stuff, including hunting and fishing, but for me, fishing is very boring, and reading about it is also very boring. So I'm just bored. I don't want to give up on the book because I mean, it's a short book and I only have another 120 pages to go, so I'm like, I might as well just finish it. I guess any generation where there is wartime, which is most generations, I guess can relate to this, and that's maybe why it is considered a classic. But for me, I just feel like I have read better when, and I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So, and I know like die-hard Hemingway fans are gonna come after me because maybe I don't get it or whatever, but I can just say that my overall enjoyment of this is not super high. And it's not that it's hard to get. I mean, Hemingway, his writing is pretty straightforward. His characters are pretty straightforward. I just feel like there's not a lot of meat to this. And I guess that's the point. It's supposed to be. You're supposed to feel that, I think, because these people are just going through the motions and they're not like enjoying life like they should. And it's because the war messed them up. But I don't know. I just feel like I'm not really getting much out of this. And I've read other books dealing with war and the aftermath of war that I think were just more effective for me. So I'm just kind of overall just meh with this book. So I'm gonna finish it, but it's not looking great. It's just not. And I honestly wasn't expecting a whole lot because I have tried Hemingway in the past and wasn't super thrilled. So this isn't a shock to me, but I was hoping that because this is on the 100 epic reads, that there would be something about it that would just blow me away, but I'm just meh. So yeah, I guess when I finish it, I'll give you my thoughts. Are you barking at the humidifier? Really? Listen, my money tree needs humidity, okay? You're just gonna have to deal with it. You don't like that humidifier, do ya? All right, guys, I did it. I finished The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway, and my rating for this is going to be 2 stars. I really appreciated what Hemingway was doing theme-wise in here, and I think that it's the type of story that, like I think I mentioned in my previous clip, most generations, even though he was specifically talking about his generation in this, most generations can relate to this on some level. And so for that reason, it can kind of be appreciated anytime, throughout time. And I don't mind his writing style. I actually like it because I like the simplicity. I like that he does manage to get those themes across in such a straightforward way. But in this particular story, I didn't really enjoy the plot very much. And it's funny because reading like his little bio on the back, basically this is like Hemingway lived this. He was an ambulance driver in World War I. After the war, he moved to France, lived in France for a while. He was a huge fan of bullfighting, which the whole like basically like last part of the book, they're attending this bullfight in Spain. So it's just interesting that the whole plot is basically probably something Hemingway himself lived. But I was bored by the story itself, and the characters I really struggled to connect with. And I need to connect to my characters, even if the story's boring. I can still appreciate a book if the plot is slow or a plot that I'm not super into, but if the characters are engaging, then I can still enjoy the book. But in this case, it just didn't work out that way. The characters just did not connect to me. Though I will say that I found our main female character, she was interesting. I have to say her name is Brett. And what was interesting about her was throughout the whole book, she's basically filling this void within her because her sort of post-war trauma was that she lost the love of her life. And so she is spending her life now just trying to fill that void and meeting all of these different men just back to back and sleeping with them and just trying to find that love again. And she's not having the best of luck, basically. And Jake, our main character, is one of those men. So she just has this, like, lots of issues with that, with trying to find love, I guess. And so it was interesting because you didn't really get really deep into her, like into her mindset and her thoughts and feelings, but you're seeing just Jake's observations of like what she's doing, just her actions, and you're like, okay, that's what's going on with her. So that was interesting. But other than her, honestly, even the main character, none of the other characters were super interesting to me. So yeah, this definitely was not a fave. And this is my third Hemingway book, and I didn't love it, which isn't surprising. I might be done with Hemingway. I feel like after reading 3 books by an author, if you just don't jive, it's time to say, you know what? I'm done with you. Am I glad I read this? Sure. Hemingway he's one of those authors that, you know, people just love and praise. He just doesn't do it for me. He just doesn't. So I appreciate the writing and some of the themes, but his stories, the actual stories and the characters, I've just never gotten behind. So there's that. So this go around wasn't as fun, I guess. And it's interesting because the first book that I read for this series, Catch-22, was also a war story, but that one was more World War II and more sort of you're in the war with the characters. So it'll be interesting to see if the next time around I pull another war book, because I'm sure there's more. Because war is a huge theme in literature. So it'll be interesting to see if I pull any more war stories. It would be nice to have something different next time. So we'll see. We'll see what I pull. But let me know down below if you've ever read The Sun Also Rises or any Hemingway. What are your thoughts? Because I'm curious. He's not for me, but I can understand why people love his stuff. So yeah, let's talk about Hemingway in the comments. Why not? And I think that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. And that's it. I will talk to you guys later. Have a wonderful week. Thank you for watching. Bye.